You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Join the party that is Make Your Day Richer TV by advertising your brand, business, or project during the show. Use us to promote what you're doing to make our viewers' day richer. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Well, hi everyone, welcome to the show, and thank you. 130,000 views. My gosh, I cannot believe it. Thank you so much to everybody who watches this show every day, who listens to the show, who shares the show, who supports the show. Cannot believe it. An honor every single day. And speaking of supporting the show, I want to thank Roxy, who bought us some coffees yesterday at buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher. Thank you so much. Roxy will be on the show in a few weeks talking about her children's books, and you'll see her name at the end of the show in the credits now because of her support. And you can do the same thing, buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher. And that's how we get to bring amazing people to you every single day. I want to say hi to all my friends at the Waxhaw Business Association. They have a meeting once a month at 7:30 in the morning. But they have coffee, so I can't really complain. And there are some amazing people, some people that you have met on this show. It's a great organization that I am glad to be a part of. You know what else I'm glad to be a part of? This show and these amazing people that we have today, because we have a great show. Frances Drost is here, who I think is one of the funniest people and most, she's amazing. I can't wait for you to meet her. Tash Doherty is here to talk about her blog and her new book. And it's just a great show. So I think we should start, don't you? I do. My first guest is an award-winning singer, songwriter, pianist, and author who uses her music and words to touch our hearts and uplift our spirits. She's on a mission to help us navigate life's challenges and find hope, especially during those times that can be emotionally complex. Her latest book, Portraits of White, is a beautiful exploration of holiday emotions, offering solace and understanding for anyone who has ever felt the weight of grief, loss, or loneliness during these special times. Please welcome Frances Drost. Maybe not Frances Drost. What's happening? Here, let's go. Try this again. Delete, remove. There was a sad wait for it. Let's get the right one here. And it's up. Frances Drost.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Frances, we were looking at camera shots and stuff before we started going live. And she's at her piano. And I don't know why I didn't say, oh, by the way, we require great pianists to play piano on this show. So I should have done that beforehand and made you play something.
Oh, I can whip something up.
Oh, well.
for the moment.
Yes. Well, don't stop me. When you're ready, you tell me and I'll shut up so you can play.
Oh.
Did you always love music? Did you come from like a musical household? Was it always, what was that like?
I came from a very conservative faith background, and into that family was born a little girl who loved sparkles and glitter and loved putting on little shows in her living room at the piano. Oh, see, I knew we'd connect. I pretended that I had an audience to sing to. And in fact, we were farm kids, and so I would sing to the cows.
Oh my
now,
gosh.
let me tell you, that is good practice for audience rejection, because the cows just stand there and look at you like a cow in your gate, like, huh?
But did they run away or did they stay and listen?
Well, they usually come closer.
See, that's a good sign, Frances.
Once they get past the shock.
Yeah.
The key to live performance, I've learned, is to get them past that shock moment right away.
Yeah. Yes. Don't drag that out. That's not good.
Yeah. So how did you practice? I mean, I read some about you, but I'm definitely going to share this with my fans. So tell my fans, tell them about you.
Well, do you have a podcast? I should come on your podcast. This is not about me, Frances, but.
Well, I used to
Really?
have a podcast, but I have too many things going on.
Yeah, that happens. Believe me, it happens. How did I perform? I did the same thing, only my dad always wanted to have a farm, but my mom was absolutely against it. So we would have farm animals, but never like two different kinds at the same time. So we would have pigs, but that was it. We would have turkeys, but that was it. Chickens, but like we had to wait until everything had circulated, you know? And then we could go on to something else. But I would sit in my bedroom, kind of like not much has changed in 40 years. I would sit in a bedroom at a desk, and at least at the time, I would pretend to talk to celebrities. And usually I would force my younger brother to sit and pretend he was someone. But he was nice and he would play along. But this was the goal since I was 10. I always wanted to be a talk show host.
Wow.
And talk to amazing people like you.
And how did your family feel about this? Like, was it kind of strange for them too, or were they very creative?
They were not creative in this way. I was lucky that my family just let me kind of do what I wanted to do. And they were always supportive of it. You know, my mom gave me all the extra paint from painting the house, and I got to paint my bedroom, however, so it kind of looked like this. And she just let me go. And if they could help and support in any way, they just did, which was amazing.
That is amazing. It's great to have a family who, even if they don't get what you're doing, they support it.
They still don't get what I'm doing. My younger brother's like, did you ever want to make money, or was this what do you want to do with your life? I'm not sure.
My mother didn't get me either. It was okay as a little girl and a teenager, but when I chose to do it as a married woman, it was like, I know she struggled with it.
When did you think, okay, well, the cows are responding positively to this. Maybe people will, and I should do this for a living?
Oh, well, it wasn't that thought out. But looking back, I do remember that a turning point for me was when I started taking piano lessons, and my piano teacher had recitals. And so the students, all get up. There's 20, 30 of us. We take one song, we play it for people, and then we have refreshments afterwards. Well, after 2 of those, I decided that I would like to do my own recital, where I'm the only artist.
Of course.
And I perform for 30 minutes,
mm-hmm.
and I memorize all this classical music. We made up invitations. We invited friends. My mother made food. Like, my piano teacher went along with all of this.
Oh.
And I believe that's where I really got my appetite for, wow, this could be all about me.
Give me more.
That's right. We don't have to have other students.
No.
Let me choose all of the music and play all of it. And honestly, I don't even remember thinking all of this. It's just that I responded to my heart, and my heart loved getting up in front of people and putting together elements and music and taking people on a journey and memorizing the music and practicing. I'm not normal.
I don't know. The fact that I get it makes me want to make sure you're normal. Otherwise, I'm scared for myself. So we're going to go with we're normal, Frances.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Did you ever have stage fright? Were you ever afraid? Was there ever maybe a concert that you did that you were like, oh my God, I am in over my head? Or you're like, no, of course.
Oh no, I can tell you 2014, I had decided I'd done albums by then, and I was doing solo work and I loved performing in front of people. I really didn't get nervous. But I decided I would do a big Christmas show, hire an orchestra, which I had never done before. And we were going to do this, how much could it really cost to do
Yeah.
this? I didn't,
Can't be that difficult.
no, and
Yeah.
cheap. I mean, the venue, the musicians, then there was set, then there was lighting. It was a big deal, and it cost me a lot of money, even though I tried to budget and plan. And I was ready. We had practiced. I was so excited, but I remember 20 minutes before going out on stage, or 30 minutes maybe, I was in my hotel room. The venue was just right across the street, and I had diarrhea. I was terrified, and I'd never remembered feeling that way before. And I just remember thinking, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I kept doing this show annually, and every year I would have terror moments in the middle of the night and even some of my team might remember times that I would say, I can't do this. Give everybody their tickets back, stop the show. And I'd have moments of absolute terror. And part of it was because I'd never worked with a conductor before. So, you need a conductor if you're going to use an orchestra. So now I'm the front man, the front woman. I'm singing the songs. I wrote the music. I planned the show. And
you have diarrhea. So now
I know. So I thought, I'm going to go to my safe place, and that's the piano. So I went over to the venue early. I sat down at the piano, rooted myself, and then I felt peaceful and calm. And we started the show, and as soon as I walked out on stage, it was like, this was what I was meant to do.
Yeah.
I was right. My heart was leading me right, but my body was going, what on earth are you doing? Don't make me do this.
Yeah. It was literally rejecting the thought
Yeah.
you're going to do it. I talk about that a lot with people who I do some I don't know, training, coaching, whatever, on people who want to go on podcasts, and they get really nervous. And I'm like, but you have training your brain that it should move that from being nervous and anxious to excitement can change it's all kind of the same thing, but just how your brain thinks about what's going on. Do you still do that concert every year?
I do. Yeah.
And how are your bowel movements?
Oh.
It's a question I never thought I would ask on this show.
They're better.
Good.
One year, a couple weeks before the show, I ended up in the hospital with diverticulitis. I would still say there are moments. I think it's just here's my conclusion, which I don't think you asked for, but I'm giving it anyway.
No, I want it.
I have learned. People say to me, why do you still get nervous if you do? You've been doing this for 24 years. And when I decided to do this Christmas show, it was a different mental space, because all of the other gigs I did, people invited me. So that gave me a sense of confidence right off the bat. This place wants me to come. They value what I do. They heard me somewhere else. But this show, I decided I was going to put it together. I was going to sell tickets. And, my mother wasn't sure about these shows that I would do. I mean, it was fine in the farmhouse again growing up, but she questioned the set design that I had. You go on a journey when you step out and really pursue what's in your heart. I mean, I had listened to a lot of personal development, motivational speakers, and they kept asking me, what is the one thing you want out of life? And after doing a lot of work, I was like, I want one night where there's a live orchestra, great music, great sound, great lights. Because I'd go to a lot of rinky-dink places where the mic didn't work and the piano didn't work. And, I just wanted one night where everything was perfect. Well, that doesn't happen either. But there was something about me stepping up and selling tickets to my own show that created an emotional journey that I was not prepared for. But man, when you dig deep, the reward is just as deep. So.
And what does that feel like? I ask everybody, and maybe people don't give me the answer I'm expecting, so I just am going to keep asking until and you're going to be the person to give the right answer. I can feel it.
Oh dear.
What? Yes. I've got one right. I've got here. You get this mug right here. That's all yours. What does it feel like when you're out there, and clearly you're the only one in the spotlight because that's how we needed it to be, and there's all that energy coming at you, what does that feel like? Like, I think, I go to a Madonna concert and I'm like, can you imagine having that? Like, what, and as someone who grew up craving that, what does that feel like for you?
It is so beautiful. It is an exchange between an artist and a group of people who have given up their time and money to come and be taken on a journey.
Yeah.
And to see them laugh and cry. And now I'm going to get emotional. It is beyond adrenaline. It's so beautiful. It's just, you just want to do it again, and you'll go through all kinds of challenges, even a pandemic, to keep it going, to make it happen. And then you add that to people coming up to you afterwards and just crying or hugging you and saying how much it meant to them. And it's like, man, how do I get to do this more?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I knew she would answer it. I knew it.
Wow. What answer did you want?
That's what I wanted. Be like that. It's almost overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's addicting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I knew it. Everybody else was trying to be so PC, and you were going to tell me the truth.
No.
I mean, we already talked about you having diarrhea. So what? Where do we go from there?
That's right. Peace. We go to peace.
Yes. Yes. I also want to talk about peace in your book, Portraits of White. Beautiful book, important book. Where did this come from?
Oh, it came from the cows.
Of course. Doesn't everything.
No,
I'm renaming this podcast.
Who is it Seth Godin that has the purple cow? Well, mine was a white cow. Anyway, it is a lifetime of sorting through struggles with holidays. Mm-hmm. And trying to come to terms with, why do I struggle with the holidays? Why do I dread them? I'm a musician who loves Christmas music. Like, what's the deal here? And learning to pay attention to those pain points. I think where I used to journal a lot about them and try to just stuff them or whatever, later in life, I took time to just pay attention to them. And one of the big triggers for sadness for me was holidays. Yeah. Now, I could have saved myself a lot of money and diarrhea if I would have just gone to see a therapist, probably. But no, I write songs about it. I do a show about it. I do an album. And so Portraits of White itself was actually a song about snow. I love snow here in Pennsylvania. And just was captivated by a scene I was driving through one day in our valley, and we had a blizzard. I should not have been out in the blizzard, but it was beautiful. And I could hear a lyric and a melody in my head, and I started scribbling on my paper while I'm driving in the snow. And
not recommended.
I know, but I do it. Yeah. And they think texting was bad. They have no idea.
Should try writing a song.
That's right. It's very distracting. But that turned into an album that came from my deciding one year to skip everything I knew about the normal holidays, Christmas, and just try to figure out why I struggled so. And it turned out that I had lost a couple siblings when we were younger, both different times and different ages, and very tragically. And my mother had lost her first husband in a tragic silo building accident where he fell to the ground from a scaffolding. And every holiday, my mother would retell these stories of the loss of our siblings and death. And our family would go visit gravesides every holiday. And I was constantly bombarded with this death, death, death. Life is hard. Life is... but we were people of faith. So in some ways, we had answers for everything. And I just was so sensitive. I absorbed it all. And I bet you're like this too, since you're so creative. You're probably very sensitive to your surroundings and feel things very deeply. And And I just bottled all of that up. And in my 30s, when I began writing music, it started showing up. Every song usually had a verse about death in it and a scenario of death. And my producer was the one who started pointing it out. He's like, "You write a lot about death." I'm like, "Well, isn't that all there is to life?" But that would have been what my mother would have said. And when she was in her 80s and 90s, she couldn't wait to die. Like, great, now I have to think about it again. I'm her daughter, and she can't wait to die. Like, come on, I just want to live for once, Mother. But my music helped me work out all of the stuff. And once I realized, holidays amplify our sadness. That's just really any holiday. You take Valentine's Day. If you don't have someone you love and to call special, it calls attention to that because you didn't get the flowers, the chocolate, the dinner date. Mother's Day can be extremely difficult if you don't have a mother, or things aren't good with your mother, or you don't have children. Or graduation can be hard because everybody else's kids are graduating, yours is not because they died tragically. Father's Day, it just, holidays, we have this beautiful conception of perfection of them in our society. And if there's anything around them that's broken, whether forced on us or from inside us, it's actually very difficult. So first I wrote the song, then I wrote songs about Christmas and my struggle, and that became an album. And then, of course, I thought, well, why wouldn't we do this album live on stage with an orchestra? I mean, this is right. So then later into this, it's like, why wouldn't I write a book, though, about my bigger story of loss and grief and how to work through that on the holidays? So the book really, it took me 58 years to write. But I really put it down, and it took me 5-6 months. I pulled out my journal, and for 2 weeks I read from start to finish, from when I'd started journaling to the most current. And I did nothing but read those journals and just reflected back through my life. And then I started piecing it all together in my book.
Well, and that's why I wanted to have you on after the big major holidays, because I think those are the ones that are highlighted, especially around things like grief and death. And, you get out the ornaments that are moments that, and you're reflecting, but there are so many holidays throughout the year that can be just as painful to go through. And such reminders of it all. That's why I wanted you to start out the year with us, so we can be using your book throughout the year. So,
wow, great. You really are good at marketing.
Thank you. There's your commercial.
And if I lived in Lancaster, South Carolina, I would come and take you up on your offer to do a podcast from your studio. I live near Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
I don't think they're the same.
They're not. You get snow and I do not. So there's that. Do you think you're going to write again? Another book?
I do. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If I have time. I'm working on a new recording project that's going to be all consuming, but I just try to take a little time here and there to write. And there's still more to the bigger story of coming from a legalistic background that was very restrictive and breaking out of that through figure skating.
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm working on that, but it might go to the side as I do the album. So
well, I hope you come back for anything that you're releasing, no matter what it is, even if it's just you're mailing a card out in the mailbox. Come tell me about it. What do you love most?
An idea.
Yeah. Send it to me and we'll talk about it. We'll workshop. What do you love most about your life right now?
Oh, I love that as I've learned to change my attitude, success and opportunities just seem to come so more easily to me. So just embracing gratitude. I feel like that sounds cliche, but I feel like as great as maybe things appear, I always felt like things really go wrong for me a lot. But in choosing gratitude and focusing on what I do have, I feel like I'm just so happy with my piano. Oh. There you go. I said I'd play. I'm happy with my grand piano.
I was gonna sneak that in there at the end, but you did it before I had to beg. So I thank you for that.
It should have been a snow song, but sorry.
It's all right. It's okay. Next time. There's always next time.
Okay. Okay.
You'll come back. Where can people connect with you, follow you, support you?
FrancisDrost.com.
Perfect.
All my social media, YouTube, all that's on my website.
Good. We just met 20 minutes ago, but I may or may not love you. I hope you come back at least, like, I don't know, once a day or something, to just
I would
chat.
love to.
The new Make Your Day Richer with my co-host, Francis Drost. That's what I think we're going to do for 2020.
I would love to.
Let's do it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It was a privilege.
Oh, anytime. I'm going to take you up on that.
Okay.
Go get the book, Portraits of White. This is Francis Drost, everyone. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with a podcast host and author, Tash Doherty. Don't go away.
You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Oh my gosh, she might be my favorite person in the entire world. I love her. My next guest is the creator of the popular blog and podcast, Miseducated. She's passionate about empowering women and sharing her own personal experiences to inspire others. Her debut novel, These Perfectly Careless Things, is a semi-autobiographical coming-of-age story that explores the female experience with honesty and humor. She's also known for her viral TikTok videos where she openly discusses her birth control journey, breaking down taboos, and sparking important conversations. Please say hello to Tash Doherty.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here, because I decided to take a plunge and have you on the show to talk about something that I don't think I would ever talk about in a million years. And that is using journaling to well, you tell me if I'm saying this correctly. You help people express their sexuality, really.
Yes, I do. So the idea behind sex writing is I actually developed it from my blog where I was just writing freely about my sex life. And I started to realize after doing this for like 6 months to a year that I suddenly really understood my preferences, like what I like my partners to do, who I'm attracted to, and all different kinds of, situations, whether it's desire, excitement, love, intimacy, fear, all kinds of stuff that can come up when you're exploring your sexuality. And so I've decided to develop my materials focused on this specifically. And I'm also an author of a spicy teen romance novel called These Perfectly Careless Things. And in that book, I also explore female pleasure, periods, all those kinds of things. And the bottom line comes down to it that writing and journaling actually has a lot of health benefits, whether you're suffering from a chronic disease, other different kinds of depression, all these kinds of things. All these researchers and professors have studied and seen the value of intentional journaling. And I just thought, why not apply that to sexuality and sex?
Mm-hmm.
And because I've seen the benefits of it in my own life. And so yeah, that's the materials that I'm developing right now.
So were you someone who was like, because you had a blog about it, you're very open about it.
Mm-hmm.
Were you always like that, or was it something that this has sort of helped you become?
Well, I always was interested in, I watched a lot of porn growing up, I'm gonna be honest. And I also remember discovering like my first smut books when I was in like my private all girls high school. And so I always like had this interest in sex, I guess, but it was never reflected or expressed in the real world. And I think a lot of that has to come with obviously all of the taboos around it. And that's why I really like the idea of journaling specifically, because it can be something that you can do in the privacy of your own home. And a lot of my friends like have told me that they've had like better sex with their partners after like reading some of my work, including like my friends' mums who are like, don't tell your friend, but like I really
do you want to name them now? Should we name them now? No.
Publicly shaming them. Yeah, I definitely want to do that to my readers. So yeah, and I think it's also just kind of fun and like a little bit bold. And I'm like 29 years old. I'm like, hopefully, touch wood, I'll live till I'm 90, but maybe I won't, and then I'll regret not having been just open about the fact that like sex, I think, is a beautiful thing. And I always think a lot about, especially when it comes to female pleasure, like why are people so allergic to the idea of women enjoying themselves? So that's why I was just like, maybe I'll take it upon myself and lead the way with some of these discussions.
I think everybody wants to do that, right? Like nobody wants to hide, nobody wants like have that shame around anything they're doing in their lives.
Totally.
And so to see you out there like, oh no, this is who I am, this is what I like, this is all of and here you also can learn from this, and this is how it's so inspiring.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you think that. And somehow I will also say, like, a big aspect of this is that, my dad or my network of people are like, how are you ever going to get a job ever again? But actually, I found it's very polarizing, right? Then there are a bunch of women's health companies that actually do want to work with me or want to read my work, or, people want to explore what I have to say. And then all those other companies that don't think that sex should be on the agenda regularly don't want to work with me. So I actually spent this whole last year working with a women's health app called Clue. And it's basically a period tracking app. And then I've been recommending topics to them. And, I literally recommend topics to them. Like, let's write an article about period bloating. Like, women experience bloating during their periods. Let's help them to download this app so they can try to track that. So when you go out and do something that's a little bit crazy, it will polarize people, but in a really positive way. And you'll find people who are a lot more aligned, with what you want to do, and then get to work with your dream clients. Like Clue was a dream client for me. So I'm super grateful to them. Shout out to the team at Clue.
Yeah, we can shout them out. Yes, those are the people we can mention.
Yes.
Yeah. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? I'm assuming this was not in your mind.
I mean, I grew up in a very privileged neighborhood in London, so I had a very academically rigorous upbringing. I then went to the Wharton School, so a very top undergraduate business school,
yeah.
where all my banker friends now are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I just couldn't care less. I'm I wanted to do something that I really enjoyed. And actually my novel, I started writing that when I was 14 years old, and it took me a long time to get back to it and finally self-publish it last year. So that was really my childhood dream, was to finish and publish my novel. But then all these stories start coming up, and I'm still single at 29, and I've had so many different experiences. So, and I like all different kinds of people. So I wanted to explore that through my blog, much to some people's dismay, for the people that think that they can recognize themselves in my stories.
Of course.
But it's never intentional.
Of course.
So,
yeah, let's talk about your book. It's called These Perfectly Careless Things.
yes, exactly.
Tell everybody. I love when I was reading about you and your bio and stuff that you use the word spicy, which I just love. And that's how you also talk about this book. Tell everybody about the book.
Yeah, so it's a story of a girl in London who's, again, going to a privileged private school experience, and she wants to become an artist, but she doesn't know how. She doesn't have the access to those things. So she starts seeing this guy who's one of those very dark and curious characters, these 15-year-olds who smoke cigarettes and is very philosophical. And this guy is American, and they basically go on all of these adventures together. It's a coming-of-age story in London. What's so beautiful about it, and this is why I get so nostalgic about the YA genre, specifically for coming of age, is that, we all get to live these beautiful lives and visit all of these places and enjoy our towns or our cities where we grew up. But when you really step out of your home for the first time, that first time is only once. The first time that she goes to the, downtown and the beautiful River Thames that she sees at night, and grows as a character through that transformation. It's that's the nostalgia that I really love to go back to with that story. So yes, there's some raunchy scenes. There's a female pleasure scene, period scenes, and I'm just trying to create a more holistic and honest picture of what it's like to be a 15-year-old girl in London in about 2010.
So who would the book be for?
So the ideal audience is anyone who's obsessed with England and London, even the good old Harry Potter fans, anyone who likes Sally Rooney or Skins. There's specifically a TV show called Skins, which was on about 15 years ago, about all of the raunchy things that teenagers get up to. And then I also find that with a lot of my work, women over 50 or anyone who likes to read YA is basically obviously the target audience, but women over 50 specifically resonate with my work. I'm not really sure why that is, but they really, I guess they have time to read. Or some of them do, and they really enjoy just dipping back into the past of teenage girls, I guess.
So this book took, some time to
It
write
did.
and come out. Are you
Yeah.
working on anything else now? Or are you taking a break because it just came out? So this year.
Well, I am actually already written a second novel. I don't know when that one's going to come out. Again, because I'm on my own self-publishing journey, I can
Mhm.
kind of pick and choose my own schedule. But right now, I'm prioritizing the sex writing materials. So as people, not that anyone would really be searching sex writing therapy or something on the internet, but if they ever do, that's when my articles are going to be coming up there. And I'm actually also working on a book called The Ultimate Guide to Dating Women. And this is specifically around straight men and how masculinity and the expectations and the norms around men are shifting now that more women are graduating from university and sometimes even making more money than their male straight partners. So yeah, there's plenty on the horizon for me in
We have
2025.
plenty of reasons to come back to this show, hopefully,
Of course,
in the
yes,
next
thank you
year or
so
so.
much.
Can we talk about self-publishing and what that was like and what you learned about the entire process, maybe even about yourself while this was going, because it's so much work.
Oh my God, so much work. So, number one, I would say for anyone out there who's interested in publishing a book, make sure you set yourself a deadline, because my deadline was September of 2023. And I said, hell or high water, whatever's going to happen, I need to have a manuscript published on that date. Then I use some other tools like Vellum, which is a software that you can just download on your computer. It costs like $400, but then you can format any text. So then you can really easily have like an ebook formatting. So I use Vellum to format my books. And then also I had to learn the hard way. I chose BookBaby as my original self-publishers, which I still recommend. I think BookBaby is a great platform, but I actually wanted to hit a much more global market because I'm obviously from the UK. So I wanted to be able to sell physical books in the UK, including like Germany, Australia, South Africa, those kinds of things. So I actually had to switch distributors this year, and I switched to another one called Ingram Spark instead. So it's basically just a bit of trial and error over here as I'm going.
But still do it. Yes.
Yeah.
Just learn from your mistakes. Don't get discouraged. Yeah.
Totally. Yes, exactly.
How long have you been blogging?
I've officially restarted that blog like 3 years ago, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell everybody, I mean, I'm assuming everybody can guess what's in the blog, but how often are you releasing new blogs and where can they get them?
I post every week on Fridays. Actually, sometimes it gets to be Saturdays, but I always post something. So last week I just posted one which is called 10 Things That I Wish That I Knew When I Was in High School. I only got through the first 6. So if you subscribe today, you'll get the last 7 through 10 tips that I had. And a lot of it is anonymized stories about my love life, but I also have some really great, more practical pieces in there, like about female pleasure, other experiments that I've run with other women's health companies, and just a bit of everything, really. So it's a little bit of fun. It's a kind of a cheeky snack in your inbox once a week.
I love that. And where do people get it? What's your website?
Yeah, it's called Miseducated. So miseducated.substack.com, or you can go to tashdoherty.com, or find me on Instagram at miseducated_ or Tash Doherty _.
What are some, I don't know, tips, I don't know if that's the right word, that people can use today to start implementing in their lives to like be more open about this?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a really great question. I would say start with just journaling on your own and really pick just a single experience that you really enjoyed. Could be for various reasons. And I usually start with the basics of the 5 senses. So like sight, smell, touch, sound, and whatever the other one is. So I think, like, especially when it comes to sexuality, not all of these things are like looking at some hot, shirtless Instagram model. There's a lot more to it than that, and it can be like the setting of a restaurant, or like literally, honestly, anything can turn you on. So I encourage people to just think about all of the different ways, all the different experiences that they've had in terms of like anticipation, and start with the fun stuff. Like start with something lighthearted that's simple and easy. Maybe your like cheekiest memory from the summer or whatever when you were in high school, and what you liked about this person or what you were attracted to about them at the time. And just kind of go from there. And hopefully I'll be hosting some workshops and things too. So if anybody's interested, you can please reach out to me. And I would love to have you in a workshop soon.
What do you love most about your life right now?
Well, I live in Mexico City, which is, I think, the most amazing place in the world. So I love Mexico, like inside and out. It's just such a vibrant and really, really beautiful place. And I speak Spanish, and I have like tons of friends here. I live in a beautiful neighborhood with tons of trees. It's really green. It's just, the architecture is incredible. So yeah, I would say living here is honestly the dream. You know, I call it the Mexican dream. I'm living the Mexican dream every day. And I'm so grateful to, you know, everyone in Mexico and for having me and letting me be a resident of this beautiful country. So yeah, that's what keeps me inspired creatively. And yeah, the novelty of it is just endless. So
Good.
Viva Mexico.
I love it. I love it. The book is called These Perfectly Careless Things.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Tash, for being here. There you go.
You're
right
so
there
welcome.
on your
Thank
screen.
you so much for having me.
I hope you come back when all of your other books, or just on a day you're like, I have nothing to do. Let me call up Rich and see what he's doing. Come back.
I definitely will.
All right, thank you so much. We'll take a break and we'll be right back after this. Don't go away.
Bye.
Thank you.
You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Now's a good time to go share the show. It's real quick, just fast, real fast. Come back tomorrow. We have an all-new show with Susan Murray, who is the founder, creator of the Top Cat Talent Show apps. You're going to hear about all of that for all you creators out there. And then the hilarious comedy legend Scott Edwards is here. He's worked with Seinfeld, Leno, Dana I mean, I'm so excited to meet him and to have you also meet him. So we'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Go make your day richer. Go make someone else's day richer. You've made mine by watching the show, and I love you for it. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Bye-bye.